Rian had never imagined that one day he would leave Earth. He was not a soldier, not a scientist, and not one of the bold explorers who dreamed of glory among the stars. He was a messenger, a man whose life had been simple and quiet. His duty was to deliver messages for the Earth Alliance Council, nothing more. Yet now he stood inside a silver shuttle that hummed softly as it traveled through the endless space toward the Vareth Empire, one of the oldest and most powerful civilizations known to the galaxy. When Rian looked out from the window, the stars stretched like tiny fires across the blackness. The sight was beautiful, but also lonely. The ship's pilot, a calm machine with a human voice, spoke to him about arrival time and atmosphere conditions. Rian only nodded. He had been trained for weeks on how to behave, what to say, and what not to say when meeting Queen Nira, the ruler of the Vareth Empire. The council had trusted him because of his steady nature and his talent for diplomacy. He was not easily frightened or tempted, and he believed in peace. The message he carried was simple, a formal request for an alliance. Humanity had recently become part of the Galactic Union, but not all empires welcomed them. Many alien races considered humans too emotional, too unpredictable, and too young as a species. The Vareth Empire was one of the few that had not made their opinion clear. If they accepted alliance with Earth, it would mean safety and status for humanity. If they refused, Earth would remain weak and isolated. Rian thought about this as he prepared his uniform. It was white, with a small emblem of Earth on the chest. He checked the seal that held the message, a glowing blue crystal that could only be opened by Queen Nira herself. He rehearsed his greeting quietly. The training officers had told him to bow once, speak clearly, never raise his voice. As the shuttle descended, Rian saw the world of Vareth appear below. The planet shimmered like a jewel, covered with wide silver seas and tall spires of light. The capital city, known as Sarath, was built on floating platforms that moved slowly above the ocean. Every tower shone with patterns of energy that changed color as the sun moved. It was more beautiful than any picture he had seen. When the shuttle landed, a group of tall alien guards approached. Their bodies were slender and covered in smooth silver armor that seemed to grow out of their skin. Their faces were calm, their eyes a deep blue that reflected the light of the city. They did not speak at first. One of them stepped forward and said in a voice that sounded both gentle and powerful, "You are the messenger from Earth." Rian bowed politely and said, "Yes, my name is Rian, representative of the Earth Alliance Council." The guard nodded. "You will follow us. The Queen is waiting." The walk to the palace was long and quiet. The path was made of crystal that glowed faintly under their feet. Around them, floating gardens and shining bridges connected to towers. Alien citizens moved gracefully, their clothes flowing like liquid light. They looked at Rian with curiosity, but no open hostility. Some whispered to one another in a soft language that he could not understand. When they reached the great palace, "Ow!" Rian's breath caught. The structure was enormous, a mountain of glass and silver rising above the clouds. Giant columns reached into the sky, and beams of light curved around them like living ribbons. The guards led him through tall doors that opened silently. Inside, the air was cool and filled with a faint sound like distant music. Rian followed through the grand hall. Statues lined the sides, each one representing ancient Vareth leaders. At the far end of the hall stood the throne, made of shining crystal and surrounded by energy that shimmered like water. Upon the throne sat Queen Nira. Rian stopped and stared, forgetting his training for a moment. The queen was unlike any being he had ever seen. Her form was tall and elegant, her skin faintly golden, her eyes bright with a color that changed like the sky at sunset. Her hair moved as if touched by an invisible wind. She was wearing a robe that looked woven from threads of light. When she spoke, her voice echoed softly, calm, and commanding. "Human messenger, welcome to the court of Vareth. You carry the words of your people." Rian quickly regained his focus. He bowed low, holding the sealed crystal with both hands. "Your Majesty, I bring you greetings from the Earth Alliance Council and a message of friendship." The queen lifted her hand, and the crystal floated gently from Rian's palms into the air before her. She touched it, and it opened, releasing a beam of blue light that formed words in the air. The message was spoken aloud by the crystal's voice, offering peace, trade, and cultural exchange. When it finished, silence filled the hall. Queen Nira's eyes remained on Rian. For a long moment, she said nothing. Rian waited, unsure if he had done something wrong. The guards stood still, their faces unreadable. Then the queen rose slowly from her throne and walked down the steps toward him. Her presence was overwhelming. Each step she took made the air feel heavier, as if the very room was responding to her. She stopped a short distance away from him and studied his face. Rian tried not to look away. "You are different from the others," she said quietly. Rian hesitated. "Your Majesty, I am only a messenger." "Only a messenger," she repeated softly, as if the words carried some hidden meaning. "And yet I feel something unusual from you. It is rare for me to sense this. Tell me, human, what do you seek for your people?" Rian took a slow breath. "We seek peace, understanding, and respect. Humanity wishes to learn from others and offer what we can. We know we are new to this galaxy, but we are willing to grow." The queen tilted her head slightly. "Peace and understanding. Such words are easy to speak, but difficult to keep. Your kind has much emotion. Many here believe emotion leads to chaos," Rian answered carefully. "Emotion can lead to chaos, yes, but it can also lead to compassion. Without it, peace becomes only silence." The hall remained quiet. The queen looked at him for another long moment, and then she smiled faintly. It was not a human smile, but it carried warmth. "You speak with truth," she said. "Perhaps your people are not as simple as they appear." Rian felt a small relief. He bowed again. "Thank you, Your Majesty. I am honored." The queen turned slightly and gave a signal to one of her guards. The guard stepped forward and whispered something to her. She nodded, then looked back at Rian. "You will stay here tonight. My advisors will review your message, and I will give my answer soon." Rian blinked in surprise. "Your Majesty, my instructions were to deliver the message and return to my ship." The queen's tone changed slightly. "You will stay," she said again, not harshly but with finality. "There are matters I wish to understand. A single night will not harm your mission." Rian wanted to protest, but the way she looked at him made him stop. It was not a threatening gaze. There was something else in it, something he could not name. He bowed once more. "As you command, Your Majesty." The guards led him away to a guest chamber deep within the palace. The room was large and filled with gentle light. Transparent walls showed the city floating below, glowing like stars. Food was brought to him, and though it looked strange, it tasted pleasant. As he ate, Rian thought about the queen's words. Why had she looked at him like that? Why had she stopped him from leaving? His mission was supposed to be simple: deliver the message, wait for the response, and return home. But now he was trapped in something beyond his understanding. He walked to the window and looked out at the alien world. The skies of Vareth were filled with moving lights that formed slow patterns, almost like living art. Far below, the seas shimmered with energy. It was peaceful, but he felt uneasy. He remembered the warning his instructor had given him before departure. The Vareth do not show emotion as we do. If they become interested in something, it is never random. The night grew quiet. Rian lay down on the soft bed, but his mind would not rest. He thought of Earth, of the people depending on him, and of the queen whose eyes seemed to hold both wisdom and mystery. Somewhere deep inside, he sensed that his life was about to change in ways he could never predict. When morning came, the same guards arrived. They bowed and told him that the queen wished to see him again. Rian dressed quickly, still unsure what was happening. As he followed them back through the shining corridors, he saw how the palace had begun to feel different. The air seemed warmer, almost alive. He did not know that the queen had spent the night studying his image, speaking quietly to her advisors about what she had sensed when she looked into his eyes. Something within her ancient mind had awakened. Something that had been silent for generations. Rian walked toward the great hall again. Unaware that his simple mission had already become the center of something far greater, The queen of the Vareth had taken interest in one human messenger, and the reason for that interest would soon change the destiny of two worlds forever. Morning light poured into the guest chamber through the wide glass walls. The city of Sarath floated below like a dream, glowing with soft silver mist that drifted between the towers. Rian stood by the window trying to calm his thoughts. He had slept little. Questions had filled his mind all night. Why had Queen Nira stopped him from leaving? What could a ruler of such power want from a simple messenger from Earth? When the guards came to escort him, Rian followed quietly through the shining corridors. Every surface in the palace seemed alive, humming with faint energy. The Vareth were a people of great skill. Even the walls appeared to move slightly, as if they were breathing. Rian could feel the weight of history around him. He had read that the Vareth Empire was thousands of years old, older than any human civilization. Yet he still could not understand what interest their mighty queen could have in him. The guards led him once again into the great hall. It looked the same as before, but this time there were fewer people present. Only a few advisors stood near the sides, and the queen sat quietly upon her crystal throne. When Rian entered, she turned her gaze toward him. The strange light in her eyes made him pause. "Messenger of Earth," she said, her voice calm yet powerful. "I hope your rest was peaceful." Rian bowed. "Yes, Your Majesty. I thank you for your kindness." The queen's lips curved slightly in a faint smile. "You are polite as your kind often is when they fear offense. Tell me, do you fear me?" Rian hesitated. The question was unexpected. He spoke carefully. "I do not fear you, Your Majesty, but I respect your power. It is natural to feel caution in the presence of one so great." Her smile deepened a little. A wise answer. "Sit with me." A small, crystal seat rose from the floor beside her throne. Rian sat down slowly, unsure if this was proper. The queen studied him closely. Her golden skin seemed to shine with the light of the hall. She rested her hand upon the arm of her throne, watching him as if he were a puzzle she could not solve. "Tell me about your world," she said. "Tell me what makes humanity what it is." Rian took a slow breath. "Earth is a place of great beauty, but also struggle. We have many lands, many peoples, and many dreams. We fight, but we also create. We are still learning how to live together in peace. We make mistakes, yet we keep moving forward." Queen Nira listened in silence. Her eyes seemed softer now, though her expression was still unreadable. "Your people are young," she said after a while. "Yet when I look at you, I sense something ancient. There is a strength that does not come from power, but from something deeper. It confuses me." Rian could not think of what to say. "Your Majesty, I do not understand." She leaned forward slightly. "When you entered this hall yesterday, I felt a wave of emotion. It has been centuries since I felt such a thing. My kind no longer experience strong emotion as humans do. We live in logic and balance. Yet when I looked at you, something inside me stirred. I cannot explain it." Rian was silent. He felt the air around him change. The queen looked less like a distant ruler and more like a being searching for something long lost. "Your Majesty," he said softly, "maybe it is because we humans still hold emotion in every part of our lives. It is our weakness, but also our strength." She nodded slowly. "Perhaps your presence has awakened memories in me. There was a time long ago when the Vareth were not so different. We once knew joy and sorrow as you do, but we chose to rise beyond such things. We believed emotion brought conflict. We removed it from our minds through the art of mind harmony. Now we live in peace, yet our hearts are empty." Rian listened with wonder. "You mean your people cannot feel anything?" "Not as you do," she answered. "We can reason, but we cannot love. We can understand pain, but we cannot grieve. Our cities are perfect, yet they are hollow." The words hung heavy in the air. Rian looked around the great hall. It was beautiful, flawless, yet there was no warmth in it. He understood then that the Vareth lived in a world of perfection without joy. The queen stood and walked toward a large window that overlooked the shining city. "I have ruled for many centuries," she said. "I have seen the rise and fall of empires. I have guided my people with wisdom, but inside me, I feel nothing. When you arrived, I felt a spark, small but real. I do not know why. That is why I did not let you leave." Rian was struck silent. The reason was strange yet honest. She had kept him not as a prisoner, but as something more mysterious. "Your Majesty," he said carefully, "I am honored, but I do not understand how a human like me could awaken emotion in someone like you." She turned back toward him. "Neither do I, but I will find the answer." At her signal, a servant brought 2 small cups filled with a clear blue liquid. The queen offered one to him. "This is a drink of knowledge," she said. "It allows the mind to open gently. Do not fear. It will not harm you." Rian accepted the cup. The liquid was cool and sweet. As he drank, he felt light spreading through his body. The hall seemed brighter, and every sound clearer. The queen drank as well and sat back upon her throne. For a while they spoke of many things. The queen asked about the oceans of earth, the sound of wind in the forests, and the taste of human food. Rian described rain falling on rooftops, children laughing, and the scent of flowers in spring. Each word seemed to touch her deeply. She closed her eyes as if she were seeing his memories through his voice. When he spoke of human music, she raised her hand and said, "Music. We once had such art. It was said to carry the voice of the heart. We lost it when we removed emotion. Tell me, does your people still sing when they are sad?" Rian smiled faintly. "Yes, we sing when we are sad and when we are happy. It helps us remember that we are alive." The queen looked away, her golden eyes distant. "I had forgotten what it means to be alive." The hall was silent for a long time. Rian did not speak. He could feel the weight of her words. At last, the queen stood. "Come," she said. "There is something I want to show you." She led him through a series of long corridors. The guards followed at a distance. They entered a chamber unlike the others. The walls glowed softly with light from countless small crystals. In the center was a round pool filled with shimmering liquid that moved like glass. "This," she said, "is the mirror of memory. It holds the images of our past. Few are allowed to see it." Rian stepped closer. The surface of the pool began to move. Images formed strange cities filled with laughter. Vareth children running through gardens, people dancing under silver lights. Then the images darkened. Machines surrounded the cities, and faces grew empty. The laughter vanished. The Vareth stood still, calm and lifeless, their emotions gone. "This is our history," the queen said softly. "We removed pain, but also joy. We gained peace, but lost our soul." Rian felt sorrow as he watched. He turned to her. "Maybe that is why you felt something when you saw me. My emotions reached the part of you that still remembers what it means to feel." She looked at him for a long moment. Her eyes shimmered faintly. "Perhaps," she said, "if that is true, then you are more valuable than you know." The words made Rian uneasy. He stepped back slightly. "Your Majesty, I am only a messenger. My people need me to return." Her voice became firm, but still gentle. "You will not leave yet. I must understand this connection. You carry something that my kind has forgotten. Until I learn what it is, you must remain." Rian tried to keep calm. "Your Majesty, I respect your curiosity, but I am under orders. The council expects my return." "You will return," she said, "but not now. You are not a prisoner, Rian of Earth, but a guest under my protection. I give you my word no harm will come to you." Her words were final. Rian bowed his head slowly. He could see there was no arguing with her. Yet he also felt something strange curiosity mixed with empathy. The queen was not cruel. She was lost in a world without feeling, reaching for something she could not explain later. As he was led back to his chamber, he looked again at the glowing city outside. He realized that the Vareth were powerful but empty. They had traded emotion for peace and perfection, but in doing so, had lost the very meaning of life. That night, Rian could not sleep. He thought about the queen's words and the sadness he had seen in her eyes. He remembered how she had listened to his stories of Earth with wonder, as if she were hearing the sound of life for the first time. He wondered if his presence truly could awaken something forgotten within her. If that were true, then perhaps his mission carried a purpose far greater than he had imagined. While the city of Sereth floated silently under the stars, Queen Nera stood again before the mirror of memory. The pool glowed softly, and she saw her own reflection shift between light and shadow. For the first time in centuries, she felt something rise in her heart. It was not fear or anger. It was something gentle, fragile, and unfamiliar. The queen touched her chest and whispered to herself, "This human messenger may hold the key to what we lost." Far across the hall, Rian stood by his window looking up at the same stars. Two different beings on the same world, both searching for meaning they did not yet understand. The fate of both species had begun to change, though neither of them yet knew how deep that change would go. The next morning, Rian awoke to a soft light filtering through the walls of his chamber. The city of Sereth shimmered beneath him as usual, but today it seemed quieter, almost expectant. The palace corridors felt warmer than before. The gentle hum of the structure made him feel less like a stranger and more like a part of this alien world. Despite the comfort, an unease lingered in his chest. He still did not understand why Queen Nera had kept him here. The door slid open silently, and one of her guards entered. "The queen requests your presence in the council chamber," the guard said, his voice calm but firm. "She wishes to show you something important." Rian followed, curious and cautious. He had begun to notice that the Verith moved differently than humans. Their gestures were precise, almost ritualistic, but there was an elegance in the way they moved. The palace itself seemed alive, responding to their presence. He wondered if the Verith had built this world not only for function, but to reflect the perfection they valued above all else. When he entered the chamber, Queen Nera was already there. She stood beside a large crystal console that glowed with energy. The walls of the room were lined with panels that displayed holographic images of Verith history. The moment Rian saw them, he understood that this was no ordinary archive. This was a living memory, preserved in light and energy. "Human," the queen said, her tone serious. "What I am about to show you is something few outsiders ever witness. It is the truth of my people, and perhaps of your kind as well." She touched a panel and the room darkened. The images on the wall shifted, showing the evolution of the Verith race. Cities of shining towers rose from oceans. Gardens bloomed with glowing plants. At first, everything seemed perfect, ordered, and harmonious. Then the images changed. Machines appeared, guiding every aspect of life. The Verith stopped showing emotion. Children grew up without laughter. Music disappeared. Art became only functional. The faces of her people became serene but empty. Rian watched in silence. The scene was beautiful and sad at the same time. He realized that this was the reason Queen Nera had been so affected by him. His kind had something her people had lost centuries ago, life in its raw, imperfect form. The queen turned to him. "We chose this path. We sought to remove weakness, to eliminate chaos. But in doing so, we removed joy and sorrow alike. Our lives became perfect, yet hollow. And now, when I look at you, I see what we have forgotten." Rian felt a mix of fear and fascination. "Your Majesty, I do not know what to say. I am only a messenger, but I understand that my people are different from yours. We feel, we fail, we hope. That is our strength." Queen Nera's eyes glowed faintly. "Yes, you carry what my people have lost. When I first saw you, I felt something that should have been impossible. It is a spark of life, emotion, and connection. I do not fully understand it, but I must learn. You will help me." Rian swallowed hard. "I want to help, but I must also return to Earth. My mission is important to my people." The queen nodded slowly. "You will return. But first, you must understand what I am trying to show you. You are not a prisoner, Rian. You are a bridge. My advisors and I need to see if it is possible for our species to regain what we lost through your presence." She moved to the center of the room, where a crystal platform had risen from the floor. She gestured for Rian to step onto it. Hesitant, but trusting her, he complied. The platform began to glow beneath his feet. He felt warmth spreading through his body and a gentle pressure on his mind, as though it was being opened slowly to receive new understanding. "Do not fear," she said softly. "This is a gift, not a weapon. You will see what my people were once like. You will understand the cost of perfection." The walls shifted again, and images appeared around him. He saw Vareth as they had been thousands of years ago. They laughed, played, and sang under the open sky. Music filled their cities. They created beautiful paintings, carved sculptures, and told stories that celebrated life. Rian was amazed. These beings were capable of brilliance and beauty. Yet now their world had become orderly and silent. Queen Nira's voice echoed in the chamber. "This was our choice. We valued logic and control over emotion. We believed emotion brought weakness, but it also brought meaning. And now we are incomplete." Rian's heart ached as he understood the truth. "Your Majesty, your people gave up something precious to gain control. But maybe it is not too late to restore it. Perhaps humans and Vareth can learn from each other." The queen turned her gaze toward him. For the first time, she seemed uncertain. "Do you think your kind can teach us what we have lost?" "I do not know," Rian admitted, "but I believe it is possible. Emotions are not just weakness. They are also strength. They allow us to connect, to care, and to change. That is what makes us human." She remained silent, studying him. The glow in her eyes dimmed slightly, as though she were considering his words carefully. "Perhaps that is why I did not let you leave. Your presence carries a force that I cannot yet name. It has awakened something within me that I thought was gone forever." Rian felt a strange sense of wonder and fear. He had been chosen not only to deliver a message, but to awaken something ancient and forgotten. The responsibility weighed on him, yet he also felt proud. Perhaps humanity was more important in the galaxy than anyone had realized. The queen led him to another chamber. It was smaller, more intimate, filled with floating crystals that cast gentle light across the walls. "Here," she said, "you will rest for a time. But tonight I want you to share with me more about your people. Tell me about your joys, your sorrows, your music, your art. Teach me what it means to feel." Waya nodded. "I will, Your Majesty. I can do that." Throughout the day, he spoke of Earth. He described the oceans, the forests, the cities filled with life. He told her about human families, friendships, and the simple joys that made life worth living. He spoke of love and loss, triumph and failure. Queen Nira listened quietly, sometimes touching a crystal to illuminate the images he described. The crystals displayed his words visually, showing the colors of Earth, the movement of oceans, and the laughter of children. As the hours passed, Rian noticed a change in the queen. Her posture relaxed. Her eyes softened, and for the first time, she smiled in a way that seemed almost human. It was subtle, but it carried warmth. He realized that she was experiencing what her people had long forgotten. When night fell, the city outside shimmered under countless stars. The queen invited him to the mirror of memory again. This time, she allowed him to place his hands upon the surface. He saw visions of her ancestors, of the world before perfection. He saw moments of happiness, sadness, and courage. He understood that the Vareth had once lived full lives. They had traded feeling for control. "Your kind," she said softly, "reminds me of what we lost. There is power in feeling, in connection. Perhaps your presence is the key to restoring it." Rian felt both awe and fear. He had never imagined that one human could affect an entire species. Yet here he was, standing in a palace of silver and light. Realizing that his existence carried meaning far beyond delivering a simple message, as he returned to his chamber that night, he thought about the queen and her people. The Vareth were magnificent, wise, and powerful. But they had lost something essential. Humanity still carried what they had forgotten. And perhaps that was why he had been chosen, not by chance, but by the need of a race to rediscover its heart. Rian lay on the soft bed, staring at the glowing city below. He understood that his life had changed forever. He was no longer simply a messenger. He was a bridge between worlds, a link between past and future, between emotion and logic. He did not know what would come next, but he felt a sense of purpose he had never known. And somewhere in the quiet palace, Queen Nira watched over him, her mind and heart stirring with feelings she had not experienced in centuries. The spark that had awakened when she first saw him was growing stronger, and both human and alien were about to embark on a journey that would challenge the nature of their lives and their understanding of what it meant to truly live. The next day, Rian awoke to find the sun rising over the floating city of Sereth. The light was soft and silver, reflecting off the towers below in a way that made the city look like a living jewel. Rian dressed quickly, feeling both nervous and excited. The queen had requested his presence in the main chamber once again. From the way her guards spoke, he sensed that today would be different from the past days. When he entered the great hall, Queen Nira was already there, standing in front of a large crystal console. Her eyes were focused, serious, and yet there was something softer in them. She gestured for him to step closer. "Human," she said, "I wish to show you something that has been hidden from nearly all of my people. It is the secret of the Verith, and perhaps why your presence has affected me in ways I cannot explain." Rian followed her, his curiosity growing. "Your Majesty, I am eager to understand. I have felt that there is more to this than I realized." Queen Nira nodded. "You are perceptive. What I will reveal to you now has never been shared with outsiders. It concerns the origin of my species and your own." Rian's heart skipped a beat. He had thought the queen was simply fascinated by human emotion, but now he realized that there might be a deeper reason. He followed her to a hidden chamber deep within the palace. The walls were made of smooth crystal that glowed faintly with an inner light. In the center of the room stood a round platform, covered with symbols that pulsed softly. "This is the Chamber of Origins," the queen said. "It contains records and knowledge that predate our civilization. Few are allowed to enter, and fewer still understand its purpose." Rian stepped forward carefully, studying the symbols that shimmered beneath his feet. "Your Majesty, what will I see here?" She looked at him with steady eyes. The truth of our connection to humanity. Sit with me, and I will show you what has been hidden for millennia." Rian obeyed, sitting beside her on a raised crystal seat. She touched one of the symbols on the platform, and the room was filled with a soft, warm light. Images appeared in the air, holograms of worlds, stars, and beings long forgotten. Rian's eyes widened as the scenes unfolded before him. "You see this, Rian?" Queen Nira said. "Long ago, before the Verith became as we are now, our species shared a common ancestor with early humans. Our scientists call it the Lost Link. It was a small seed of life, capable of emotion and thought, curiosity and creativity. Over millennia, the Verith evolved differently, choosing logic and perfection over emotion and instinct. Humanity, however, followed a separate path, retaining the full spectrum of feeling." Rian was stunned. "You mean we are connected?" "Yes," she said. "Your people carry a signal, something biological and emotional that is no longer present in most Verith. It is subtle, invisible to the eye, but it can be sensed. When I saw you, that signal awakened a memory within me, a fragment of what we once were. That is why I did not let you leave. Your presence is not ordinary. It carries the essence of life that my kind lost long ago." Rian struggled to comprehend the weight of her words. "So, I triggered something inside you? Something ancient?" Queen Nira nodded. "Yes. Your presence resonates with a part of me and my people that has been silent for centuries. We have lived in perfection, but it is a hollow perfection. Seeing you, hearing you, I felt emotions stir within me. Joy, curiosity, compassion. It was shocking." Rian felt both awe and fear. He had never thought of himself as important on a galactic scale, yet here he was, standing at the center of an ancient race's deepest secret. "Your Majesty," he said, "I am only a messenger. I came with a simple message of peace. I never imagined this would happen." Queen Nira smiled faintly, but there was no humor in it. "Your message is important?" but so are you. You are the bridge between what we were and what we could become. Your humanity is the key to understanding our lost potential. The queen moved closer to the platform, her hands hovering over the symbols. I must study you, not as a prisoner, but as a teacher, a guide. You will show me the emotions, the feelings, and the connections that my people no longer experience. You will remind us what it means to live. Rian swallowed, trying to steady himself. I will do my best, Your Majesty. But my people are waiting for me. They will want to know what happened. You will return, she said, but only after you have helped us understand. Your stay is temporary, yet vital. What you carry cannot be replicated. No machine, no experiment, no scholar can awaken what you naturally embody. Rian thought about Earth, about the families and friends who would worry if he stayed too long. Yet he also realized that what he was doing here could change the fate of 2 species. I understand, he said quietly. I will help you. The queen studied him for a long moment, her golden eyes reflecting the soft light of the chamber. Then we begin, she said. We start with your experiences. Tell me of your feelings, of the moments that bring joy or sorrow, hope or fear. Show me what it means to live fully, without perfection. And so Rian spoke. He spoke of childhood memories, of his first steps, of the laughter of friends, and the sadness of loss. He spoke of music, of art, of the taste of food, and the feeling of rain on the skin. Each story was simple, yet it carried weight. The queen listened closely, absorbing every word. Crystals around the chamber shimmered with the emotions she sensed, capturing the essence of his human experience. Hours passed, and Rian noticed a change in Queen Nira. Her posture softened, her eyes glimmered, and she occasionally touched her chest, as if feeling the heartbeat of life itself. He realized that she was not only learning but also remembering what it meant to feel. You speak with honesty, she said at last. Your stories are simple, yet they awaken something within me. I remember joy. I remember sorrow. I remember the warmth of connection that my people abandoned for control. Rian nodded. Your Majesty, humans are not perfect. We make mistakes. We argue. We fail. But in our imperfections, we find meaning. That is why we live fully. That is why we matter. The queen was silent for a moment, her gaze distant. You carry the spark that my kind lost, not just in your words, but in your very being. Your presence reminds me that life is more than order, more than logic, more than perfection. It is experience, emotion, and choice. Rian felt a mixture of pride and humility. He had never imagined that a simple human messenger could hold such significance. Yet as he watched the queen, he realized that she was genuinely moved. He had become more than a courier of messages. He had become a catalyst for change. The queen then touched a panel on the wall and new images appeared. This time, they were projections of the future. Cities of Vareth, glowing with energy, began to show glimpses of life. Children played, adults laughed, music filled the air. The perfection remained, but it was tempered by emotion. The Vareth were alive in a way they had not been for centuries. This is what I hope to achieve, Queen Nira said softly. With your help, Rian, my people can learn to feel again. We can regain what was lost without losing our wisdom. You are the bridge between our past and our future. Rian swallowed hard, feeling the weight of her words. He realized that his mission was no longer simple. He had been chosen not only to deliver a message, but to awaken an ancient race to the essence of life. The responsibility was immense, yet he felt ready. You will guide us, the queen continued. You will teach us what it means to experience life fully, and in return, you will understand your own kind more deeply. Humanity has power beyond what you realize. It is not in weapons, not in technology, but in the strength of your hearts and minds. Rian nodded. I will do my best, Your Majesty. I will share what I know, and I will help your people discover what they have forgotten. The queen smiled faintly, a gesture that carried warmth and hope. Then our work begins. Together, we will change the destiny of both our species. The day turned into night. Rian and Queen Nira continued their work. He shared stories, described emotions, and answered questions about human life. The queen listened, absorbing every detail, feeling the stirrings of a heart long silent. And as he spoke, Rian realized that he was no longer just a messenger. He was a teacher, a guide, and a spark of life that could awaken an entire civilization. For the first time, the queen experienced something she had thought impossible: hope. And for the first time, Rian understood the true power of humanity in conquest, not in technology, but in the simple, profound ability to feel. The stars outside the palace shone brighter than ever, reflecting the quiet transformation within. Two beings from different worlds, connected across space and time, were beginning a journey that would reshape the galaxy. The sun rose slowly over Sereth, casting silver light across the floating city. Rian stood at the edge of the crystal balcony in the queen's palace, looking down at the towers and gardens below. The city seemed alive in a way he had not noticed before. The Verith citizens moved with grace, but now there was a subtle lightness in their steps, as if they too were beginning to feel something long forgotten. Rian thought about the past days, the conversations with Queen Nira, the images of the Mirror of Memory, the stories he had shared about Earth. He had come as a simple messenger, and now he felt like a part of something much larger than himself. His presence had awakened emotions in the queen, and perhaps in her people. But he also knew that soon he would have to make a choice. The Council of Verith emissaries had arrived from the outer cities. They demanded to see Rian, to confirm that he had not been harmed, and to insist that he return to Earth. Rian felt a mixture of anxiety and calm. He understood the Council's concern. They did not know what his presence had triggered in their queen, yet he also knew that leaving too soon might undo the progress they had made. Queen Nira entered the balcony chamber, her golden eyes shining with determination. "Rian," she said softly, "the council insists that you return to your people. They do not understand what is happening, nor do they grasp the importance of your presence here. But I do. I will speak on your behalf." Rian bowed respectfully. "Your Majesty, I cannot disobey the council. My mission is important. Yet I also see the changes that have begun. I do not wish to hinder your people's awakening." The queen reached out, placing a hand on his arm. "You are not hindering. You are guiding. Your kind has the ability to awaken what we lost. The council fears change because they cannot see it. But I can, and I will protect you as you continue this work." Rian felt a surge of warmth at her words. He had never been praised or trusted like this. He realized that his role was no longer that of a simple messenger. He was a bridge between two species, living example of what humanity could offer the galaxy. The council arrived on the balcony. They were tall and imposing, their expressions unreadable. Queen Nira, one of them, said, "We understand that the human messenger has remained in your court. We request that he return immediately. His people require him." Queen Nira's voice was calm but firm. "Council members, I understand your concerns. But Rian is not simply a messenger. His presence carries the key to understanding life and emotion, something my people have long forgotten. To send him back now would be a mistake."
Ow.
The council exchanged glances. "Your Majesty," another said, "he cannot remain indefinitely. There must be limits. The protocol of the Verith Empire does not allow exceptions for outsiders." The queen held her ground. "This is not a matter of protocol. It is a matter of survival for our culture. Rian has reminded us of what it means to feel. Without him, we will remain hollow. I request that you allow him to stay until the awakening is complete." Adian stepped forward, his voice steady. "Council members, I understand your duty. I also understand the importance of my people. But I have seen what my presence can do here. I have seen the Queen begin to feel again. And I believe that humanity can offer knowledge and emotion that the Verith have forgotten. I am willing to stay temporarily, not as a captive, but as a teacher and guide." The council was silent. They had never witnessed such reasoning from a human before. Rian's words carried honesty, humility, and determination. Slowly, they began to understand that this was more than a simple diplomatic mission. This was a chance for their species to regain what had been lost centuries ago. Queen Nira turned to Rian. The choice is yours. Rian, you may stay and continue to guide us, or you may return to Earth and fulfill your original mission. No one will force you. Your presence here is a gift, and it must be given freely. Rian took a deep breath. He thought about Earth, about his family and friends, about the people depending on him. Yet he also thought about the Verith and the emptiness that had filled their lives for so long. He realized that this moment was not just about him or his mission. It was about two worlds, two species, and the possibility of change that could span generations. I will stay, he said finally. I will help your people rediscover what they have lost. I will teach, and I will share what humanity has to offer. But I will also return to my people when the time is right. I will not abandon Earth. This is a temporary choice, but it is a choice I make freely. The Queen's eyes glowed with warmth. You honor us, Rian. Your decision will change the course of history for both our species. Humanity and Verith may now grow together, each learning from the other. The council nodded slowly, their expressions softening. They understood that the decision was not a violation of protocol, but an extraordinary opportunity. They agreed to allow Rian to remain under the Queen's guidance, though they reserved the right to recall him after a specified period. Over the next weeks, Rian worked closely with Queen Nira and her advisors. He taught them about human art, music, storytelling, and emotion. He described the joys of laughter, the comfort of friendship, and the meaning found in sorrow and struggle. The Queen absorbed every detail, her heart and mind stirring with feelings she had not known for centuries. The Verith people began to notice subtle changes in their Queen. Her guidance became more compassionate, her decisions more empathetic, and her interactions with her people warmer. The energy of the city shifted slightly, as though the awakening within the Queen spread outward, touching all who lived there. Rian found himself teaching more than he had expected. He led lessons on simple human traditions, on the value of imperfection, and on the strength found in caring for one another. The Verith, who had once viewed emotion as a weakness, began to understand that it could be a source of power, creativity, and connection. One evening, Queen Nira invited Rian to the Mirror of Memory. You have taught much, Rian, she said softly. But now it is time to see the results. They placed their hands on the mirror together. The surface shimmered, displaying visions of the city and its people. Rian watched as the Verith citizens moved through their daily lives with subtle changes. Children laughed. Adults smiled, music echoed softly through the towers. It was not the chaotic joy of humans, but a measured, thoughtful awakening. Emotion was returning, tempered by wisdom. Queen Nira looked at Rian with gratitude. You have given my people a gift that cannot be measured. You have reminded us of what it means to live, to connect, to feel. Humanity carries a power we had long forgotten. Rian felt a sense of pride and humility. He had come as a simple messenger, yet he had become the catalyst for a civilization's renewal. Your Majesty, he said, it is your willingness to see, to learn, and to feel that allowed this to happen. I only helped guide the way. The Queen smiled. And yet without you, this spark would have remained hidden. You are more than a messenger, Rian. You are a bridge between our worlds. As the days passed, Rian continued his work with the Queen and her people. He learned more about the Verith than he could have imagined, their history, their science, their culture. He realized that while they had lost emotion, they had gained knowledge, wisdom, and technology. Humanity and Verith complemented each other perfectly. Eventually, the council returned to discuss Rian's next steps. They acknowledged the progress that had been made and agreed that he should return to Earth after completing a final series of lessons. The time had come to leave, but the bond between Rian, Queen Nira, and her people was strong. On the final day, Queen Nira stood with him on the balcony, overlooking the glowing city. Rian, she said, you will return to your people, but know, this you have left a lasting mark on the Verith. We will continue to grow, to feel, and to connect because of you. Rian smiled, and I will carry the memory of this place with me. Humanity will never forget the lessons of the Verith. We have learned that life is more than survival. It is connection, emotion, and courage. The queen's eyes shone with warmth. Go now, messenger. Go to your people. But remember, you will always be welcome here. Rian stepped onto the shuttle, feeling a mixture of sadness and hope. As the engines hummed and the ship lifted into the sky, he looked back at the palace, the city, and the queen. He knew that the Vareth were beginning a journey of rediscovery, guided by the simple presence of one human who had reminded them what it meant to feel. The stars stretched before him, vast and infinite. Rian thought of Earth, of his mission, and of the bridge he had built between two worlds. The galaxy had changed quietly, profoundly, because humanity had the courage to feel, and in the palace of Sereth, Queen Nira watched the shuttle fade into the sky. Her heart and mind were alive with emotion once more. The shock that had seized her when she first saw Rian had transformed into understanding, hope, and gratitude. The Vareth had remembered what it meant to live on. A simple human messenger had shown them the way. For Rian, the journey was only beginning. But the message was clear. Humanity's strength was not in weapons or machines, but in the power of life itself, the ability to feel, to connect, and to inspire change across the stars. The galaxy had witnessed the rise of a bridge between worlds. And it all began with one simple human messenger and one extraordinary alien queen.